So here is the current progress of my game in the Unreal Engine. So first of all, I've updated the ore generation system. Before, as you can see here, I had a actor for each class of block, but I have since changed that, and now everything is this single block, which randomly generates its face and also what type of ore it is based on its height. So at the surface level it will always be grass, but if I move it down you can see it changing. So it's just become iron. And briefly if I just get it, find one, there we go, so a block of nothing. Yeah, this is where the generation starts, so if I play, here we go. The block breaking animation is still using the old model, but the new model for the blocks as well makes it look a lot more like tunnels. There's still an ore system, so you can see the cargo on the top left has just listed as 1. If I dig a bit more, find some more iron ore. Here we go. There we go. The red bar on the top right indicates health. The yellow bar indicates fuel. There is full damage, so you want to make sure you don't fall too far. Got a little bit of a bounce when you hit the ground. I've got some money to start with, so you can decide how much to refuel yourself by. So I currently have 61% fuel, but I can push that all the way up. The pricing is a little off. That needs to be balanced. But I can sell my ore. It doesn't clear my inventory properly, it seems, but I got some money back from that. Here I can buy upgrades, which are you can see here, so hull level 5, and that's also prepared me buying a new one. I can upgrade my engine. If I upgrade my drill to level 6, don't have enough money. Maybe I can do level 2. Or level 5 because they haven't got prices, but you can see now I'm digging a lot faster. Oh, and it seems to have updated my cargo. So there's still a few little like bugs to fix. You can see on the left depth and the radar altimeter. So the altimeter is useful for determining how close the floor is. So the idea is that when the game is complete, you would have long mine shafts down, and because you can't see too far. So if I go up like here, using radar altimeter, I can adjust accordingly and make sure I don't hurt myself. And depth is just a general idea of how deep you've gone. The temperature is for things like lava and other things that would, like gas pockets, it would increase your temperature, but the temperature also increases the deeper you are, so I'm just free falling at the moment, so you can see. I think it's accelerating a bit fast, so again, that needs to be balanced, but when you're a few hundred blocks down, the heat would really become a problem. And if I just freefall and let the heat continue to rise, because the radiator upgrade, I will start taking damage soonish. I should already be taking damage, maybe. Well, the system's not fully implemented. Oh, there we go. And the higher over your heat capacity you are, the more damage you take. You can see it accelerating and then dead. Death conditions are very simple: running out of fuel and running out of health. And that's about it, really. These are all the features. So I got lots more things to add. Lots more ores. I need to balance the upgrades, the cell and cost of fuel. And there's a few other features I'm thinking of bringing in, like radiation, but this is all just thoughts at the moment. At some point I will bring in a proper background so you can see a horizon off in the distance and there is actual ground behind this instead of just nothing. I'll be building these buildings properly as well to make sure that there's I'm not using assets from the game I'm basing this off. And that's about it. In terms of the mechanic side, so if I show you the block, this is the stuff behind it. This is what determines what block spawns. At the moment there's not much in most of these, however, each block has an ID which is being set here, so air is nothing, or 0, dirt is 1 here. The order doesn't make sense, like, logically, but for the game they have to be like this. Dirt is always the last choice to spawn. Then we got stone, which will be ID 2, lava, that will be ID 3, iron is ID 4. When the player mines a block, it will use this ID to determine what to do. So if I show you here, this is, each one of these corresponds to the ID the game finds from the block. So if it's iron, it will first check to see if the inventory is full. If it's true, it will bring up a warning on the screen saying inventory full. If it's not full, it will add 1 iron ore to the player. It will then do a second check to see if that has increased the inventory size to full. If it has, then at the moment it's using the same warning that will pop on the screen, but when the game is actually playing, it will show a different one saying that the most recently mined thing has filled the inventory. While I haven't got the model for the lava block in, you can see here where it adds 1,200 heat to the mining pod. These are assumed to be degrees Celsius, which I think is, I haven't added to the actual unit, but that will be around, will be Celsius. The reason it's got mining blocks of air here is a placeholder just to fix anything that happens, because if the game spits out ID 0, something still needs to happen. Just keeping, like, bugs away. Yeah, this is everything that handles the player. So we've got flight, movement and rotation. This is the altimeter. This is inventory management. At the moment it's being done every tick, but I'll eventually change that so it will only update when the player sells or mines something. A lot of this is done per tick, but as I say, I will change it as time goes on. It's just easier to hook it up to per tick at the moment. This is the mining animation, so when the player moves into the block, and the block, and the, like, as the pod slowly moves into the center of the block, that's what this is doing. A lot of this is mostly just making sure the player can't do anything while it's mining, because I've had a few bugs where you could fly out of the block while it's mining. One where you would, these two little bits here, going into this, stops a bug that caused the player to go, the pod to go to the 0 coordinate for a reason which I can't remember exactly, but this fixes it. This one was the most recent bug I fixed, where if the player tried to fly a couple of seconds before mining the block, so if they went to mine the block and then started to fly, so in that order, the controls would be disabled, but flying would be stuck on, and there'd be 0G, because what was happening is when you start mining, I had this little delay, so the player could make a decision if so they wouldn't start mining immediately, so if they were just travelling along and not really paying attention, they wouldn't accidentally mine something they didn't want to mine. What was happening if they started flying during this delay, that's when the bug would occur. There's a few other bug fixes around that I can't quite remember where they were, but those are two which I had some fun trying to fix. This is a thing to keep track of air blocks a player has passed through in preparation for a future system that I plan to add to respawn ores. The next thing I will be adding is arrays to keep track of everything, every single block that spawns and every single block that is mined, and ways to select them. One of which is so I can replace a single block with a random, I lost my train of thought, a random unique item like an artifact or a one-of-a-kind ore. Here's the heats. This was great fun sorting out. So depth heat is worked out with this. So get act location, the z coordinate, which is how deep they are, dividing it, multiplying it. So this reduces the number, this inverts the number, so it goes from a minus to a positive. This then divides it by 20, and then that times to itself. I can't remember the reasoning behind this, but then it adds 25 to it, because that's the, I suppose, the surface temperature. This is determining whether they should receive damage. So heat tolerance will be based off what kind of radiator they get. Most of this I worked it out at the time, and it makes sense, but it's I find it quite amusing that it's easy to forget what most of these things do. And every now and then I have to relearn it if I discover a bug. But if I go to the level blueprint, this was the old ore generation system, but because the blocks now generate themselves upon runtime, this is the new ore generation, so I can actually place it physically in the world, which is this here, and that white box is there, but you won't see it when the game starts. And this is just so I can see like where the first block would be. The way the blocks change what they are. So here you can see the grass block, but if I just hide these, it's being weird, and I can just show you the other way. Meshes, blocks. So forgive the size of it. There's a few problems with importing, but you can see that the front of the block is missing. And what simply happens is that when the block decides what it's going to be, it simply loads in what front. So I got 3 different versions of dirt because there's so much of it. I wanted to break up the, make it a bit less uniform. I feel like I can justify having a separate outside block for grass because of there's very little of it. There's this in the middle, which is specifically for checking if the player moves through the block to register air blocks, being, I suppose, quote, mined, is how they'll be registered. Yeah, I think I've described most things that I got. There's still lots of decisions to be made, but each day there's more, get more done. But yeah, that's about it really.